All right, so Miss Abiola, as a head of the political division or section of the Commonwealth of Nations, talk to me about the recent meeting of the Commonwealth foreign ministers at the UN General Assembly, where reports show that there appeared to be unity among all foreign ministers of the UN.
Thank you, Peter. So yes, I am the head of the Africa section at the Commonwealth, and we just recently had the Commonwealth Foreign Affairs Ministers meeting. It was our 25th edition, actually. It was well received. We had an amazing turnout, over 100 delegates, 44 countries represented, and over 32 ministers who were present there. As you probably know, that was also the first foreign affairs meeting presided by our new Secretary General, the Honorable Shirley Ayoko Boche. And it was really an opportunity for the family to come together, to have a chance to hear her vision as we just launched our strategic priorities, our strategic plan, a 5-year plan that really lays down the framework of a vision for the Commonwealth going forward, and of a renewed Commonwealth, if you will, in terms of some of the reforms, in terms of listening to our countries and understanding in this global context what how and really what matters for multilaterals like the Commonwealth Secretariat to be able to engage, also be fit for purpose, and to be able to respond to the needs of its members. It was an opportunity for the family, as I said, to come together. It was an opportunity to hear the vision, and it was an opportunity for her vision to be endorsed. So it really was, yes.
From your view, was there an enthusiasm among the foreign affairs ministers during this meeting, and were you happy uh, with the outcome?
Absolutely. I think when you look at the fact that it's happening on the margins of the UN General Assembly, it's a busy time, and certainly this year more than others, there are lots going on, and the fact that the ministers will made some time to come to this meeting, I think, and the attendance was a testament to the importance they attach to the foreign ministers meeting and to the Commonwealth. I think what also made it successful was the fact that not just the endorsement of the of the member countries and their ministers of the strategic plan and the support that they showed. I think was also the ideas they brought forward about some of the ways in which this strategic plan and beyond could be enhanced, and some of the things that they would like to see the Commonwealth do. So I think all of those things really made it a success, to be able to hear from them, and not just the Commonwealth telling them what we had, what plans we had, but them also sharing their ideas. And I think the endorsement was a testament that the Secretariat was listening to them. They felt heard, and they were enthusiastic about the way forward.
Can you talk to me more about the affirmation of ministers regarding the strategic plan 2025 to 2030, building a more resilient Commonwealth which centers on democratic, economic, and environmental resilience?
Absolutely. I think, as you said, the core pillars of the strategic plan was about looking at democratic resilience, economic resilience, and climate resilience. As you know, a lot of our countries are impacted by climate change, and we have a lot of small island states that are impacted by that. So that is definitely an important theme. Economics as well is really important for the our member countries. When we are looking at intra Commonwealth trade, intra Commonwealth trade, despite COVID, despite some of the economic shocks, has still remained resilient. in that sense. And so they were looking at opportunities to strengthen that, opportunities to also grow it. To I think we're looking at about 2 trillion in the next coming years. And of course, we can't escape democracy. The work that the Commonwealth does, in particular, looking at the election observation, looking at the help and support and technical assistance that we've provided to countries, whether it's in the rule of law, in amending and drafting constitutions and legislation, has been noted. And interestingly enough, the opening of that meeting, I just referred to the Commonwealth Foreign Affairs Ministers meeting, the opening started with a video, and the video was to mark the 40 years of the Eminent Persons Group, which was a group 40 years ago that was deployed to then apartheid South Africa, led by General Obasanjo. And it was a reflection on the impact that the Commonwealth has had in countries and in a lot of the sort of democratic space and of these countries. So it was really a celebration, a milestone, a celebration of what has been, and looking forward to what the possibilities are with the Commonwealth at the helm.
Let's look at some of the issues the ministers agreed on, including democracy or advocacy for multilateralism, because as you know, there have been issues around the world where there are tensions here and there. So talk to me briefly about advocating for multilateralism.
Yes. I think that what was interesting and what was important in that meeting was the fact that a lot of the ministers spoke to the need and the need now more so than ever of multilateralism. I mean, of course, when you listen to the news, you read the papers, you can kind of think, oh well, multilateralism is dead. I think a lot of them spoke to the fact that it isn't actually. There is still space for multilateral organizations like the Commonwealth. I think what was important was the discussion around not just what the space looks like, but what the possibilities to reframe that space looks like. When you think about the 56 countries of member countries that make up the Commonwealth, around from 5 different regions, that is powerful in terms of advocacy, in terms of the opportunity to amplify common positions. And like we always think of the Commonwealth as a family, really. Families, of course, don't always agree on things, but I think they really come together to support on things that matter. One of the areas that some of the ministers spoke to was about partnerships and seeking and continuing strategic partnerships. It's really it's obvious that a lot of multilaterals, like Commonwealth, there's where we are in a time of constrained, maybe finances, and we have to look at what we're doing and how we're doing it, but do it in a way that also reflects the times in which we are, and do it also in a strategic way. So partnerships has always been an important part of the Commonwealth work, and it's really great to see the ministers endorse that even more so. To think about how are we partnering with the regional organizations, the AU, CARICOM, the Pacific Island Forum, for example, are some of the organizations we've worked with. But looking at mutual areas of interest. The other thing we didn't mention as part of the 3 pillars is that gender and youth mainstreaming forms a core of that, as well as looking at vulnerable countries, vulnerable states, I should say. And I think that aspect of sort of framing those 3 pillars is really important, in that nobody gets left behind and nobody's forgotten. And the space of, people, youth, because youth make up about 60% of a lot of our countries, of our Commonwealth countries, of women, people who are, disabled. Those spaces are not forgotten. And I think it's about an inclusive growth, and it's about resilience that takes into consideration all people. So I think partnerships was a key part of that. And it was a key part of the comments and the interactions that and interjections that some of the ministers touched on.
All these usually boils down to people. How
Absolutely.
about the issue they agreed on, including empowering people in these countries of the Commonwealth.
Absolutely. And I think that was part of that conversation about the youth and gender, mainstreaming being important focal points to anchor these pillars. Because as you said, without people, really, these pillars, don't make any sense, or, they're useless. So I think is keeping that at the forefront of what we do, as at the forefront of the interests that we pursue, the people we work with, the partnerships that we work with as well. But then also I think the outcomes, because at the end of the day, we want outcomes that speak to our countries, that resonates with them, that helps them to grow their economies, that helps youth to be employed, that helps women to be recognized and be in spaces where perhaps they haven't been in. And certainly we also taken into consideration the digital space. Nowadays we can't talk about growth and the future without that digital and AI space, and that technological aspect is also a key part of what we're looking at as we move forward with the Commonwealth, and as we move forward with other partners that are key and critical to the work that the Commonwealth does.
Ms. Abiola, before you go, what should residents of the Commonwealth expect following this meeting of foreign ministers at the UN General Assembly here in?
I think what they can expect is a dependable Commonwealth. I think they can also expect that the Commonwealth has always led with integrity. I think part of what has made the Commonwealth successful has been the relationship building that we've been able to have in a lot of spaces. I think we've been respected and welcomed in spaces sometimes where bilateral relationship hasn't worked, and I think that they can expect more of that. One thing they can also expect is that the Commonwealth, as you said, I like the fact that you talked about people. We really take that into, to heart, whether it's the people that, we work with, or the people who work on all of these matters. A lot of us are from Commonwealth countries as well. So we always keep that at the forefront of what we do. What is the impact on people? Because the people matter. Without the people, there's no, you can have policies, you can have pillars, but it doesn't go anywhere. So I think that is really key to what we do, and also listening to people. What do people want? How can we support our countries to do the best, to put their best foot forward, as I think you and I had talked about. So really at the heart of it is about people, keeping people, making it a people centered approach to growth, to resilience, to development, and to adaptation, because we live in a very our world is constantly changing, and I think that adaptation is really important, and that result based mindset is also important in the sense that you have to have that flexibility of, if this isn't working, how can we make sure that something else does. So I think we really can't depend on that integrity, that brand, putting people first, and being very being centered to the needs that our countries communicate to us. And I think you can also see a resilient, or expect a resilient Commonwealth. We're not immune to some of the shocks that other multilaterals are, but I think what matters is about weathering those shocks. And I think we do have a vision in place, and with a new leader who is determined to move things forward, we can expect that resilience as well.
Thank you very much, Ms. Abiola, for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that, Peter.
Thank you.